You know, your heart has this absolutely amazing electrical system. It's truly a natural marvel, like its own little self-contained power grid that generates an impulse, beat by beat, second by second, keeping you alive. But what happens when that perfect system goes a little haywire? I want you to think of your heartbeat as a perfectly timed symphony. The rhythm is just so precise, every section playing its part in perfect harmony. So what happens when that symphony's conductor, the part of your heart that sets the pace, loses the beat? Well, the result is a condition that affects millions of people, and we're about to dive into exactly how it all works. So, to really understand what goes wrong, we first have to appreciate what goes right every single day. See, the heart has its own internal pacemaker, and it's responsible for creating that steady, healthy rhythm. This is our baseline, the gold standard that all other rhythms are measured against. In the medical world, this perfect rhythm is called normal sinus rhythm. And that conductor we've been talking about, it's a tiny little cluster of cells called the sinoatrial node, or just SA node for short. It fires away at a steady rate, somewhere between 60 and 100 times a minute, setting the tempo for the entire heart. And get this entire intricate sequence happens in less than a second. It all starts when the SA node fires off an electrical cue, telling the atria, that's the top chambers, to contract. The signal then zips down to the AV node for this crucial, tiny little delay. That pause lets the ventricles fill up with blood. And finally, the impulse spreads to those powerful lower chambers, causing them to contract in this grand finale that pumps blood to your whole body. It's incredible. So why is this timing so critical? Well, it all boils down to one goal: perfusion. That's just a fancy word for delivering oxygen-rich blood to every single organ and tissue in your body. A perfect beat means perfect perfusion, and perfect perfusion means a healthy, happy body. Okay, so that's the perfect performance, but what happens when the symphony just falls apart? The rhythm can get way too fast or way too slow, or sometimes it's just plain chaotic. This is where we enter the world of dysrhythmias. A dysrhythmia, plain and simple, is an abnormal heart rhythm. It's some kind of disturbance in how the heart's electrical impulse is formed or how it travels. And here's the crucial part. These can range from something you'd never even notice to a full-blown, life-threatening emergency. We can pretty much group most dysrhythmias into two main buckets. First, you've got bradydysrhythmia. That's when the heart beats too slowly, under 60 beats a minute. This can leave you feeling dizzy or tired because, well, not enough blood is getting pumped out. And the opposite problem? That's tachydysrhythmia, where the heart beats way too fast. That's also a big problem because it doesn't give the ventricles enough time to fill up with blood, and it puts a massive strain on the heart. So what makes the heart's electrical system get so irritable? Well, a whole lot of things, it turns out. A heart attack, or an MI, is a major one, but it can also be triggered by things like electrolyte imbalances, especially potassium and magnesium, or low oxygen levels, drug toxicity, or even stuff we encounter every day, like stress, caffeine, nicotine, and alcohol. Now, the most common dysrhythmia, by far, is something called atrial fibrillation, or AFib for short. And you'll see its risk factors are things many people live with: high blood pressure, heart failure, artery disease, diabetes, and yeah, just getting older. I came across one source that just puts it perfectly. In AFib, instead of one strong, coordinated contraction, the atria are just bombarded by hundreds of these disorganized electrical impulses. They completely lose their ability to pump and just quiver. That visual of quivering, that's the chaos that is the hallmark of AFib. So, if the heart's symphony is in total chaos, how do doctors actually see or hear what's going on? Well, they have a pretty special tool that lets them read the heart's electrical signals directly. That tool is the electrocardiogram, or ECG. It gives us a visual picture of the heart's electrical activity. So if the heartbeat is our symphony, then the ECG, well, that's the sheet music. It shows every note, every pause, and yet every mistake. Now, I know looking at an ECG can be kind of intimidating, but we can break it down into simple ABCs. The P wave, that shows the atria squeezing. That big spike, the QRS complex, that's the powerful ventricles squeezing. And that last little bump, the T wave, shows the ventricles resetting, just getting ready for the next beat. Simple, right? PQRST, atria, ventricles, reset. When you look at the sheet music for a normal rhythm, it's honestly beautiful in how regular it is. You see a P wave, then a QRS, then a T wave, over and over and over. The pattern is steady, it's predictable, the conductor is in absolute control. Okay, now look at this. This is the sheet music for atrial fibrillation. It's a mess, right? There are no clear P waves, and those QRS complexes are all over the place, totally irregular. This is what it looks like when the symphony is being drowned out by a bunch of electrical static. But here is the really good news. Doctors have an incredible set of modern tools that are designed specifically to restore the rhythm and get that conductor back in charge of the orchestra. Let's walk through that toolkit real quick. The first line of defense is usually medication, things to control the heart rate or rhythm, and really importantly, anticoagulants to prevent clots. If meds aren't enough, doctors can use electrical therapies like cardioversion, which is like a synchronized reset, or in a real emergency, defibrillation. And for long-term management, you have things like pacemakers or even procedures like ablation that actually go in and target the source of the bad signals. Let's zero in on defibrillation for a second. This is for the most life-threatening rhythms, like ventricular fibrillation, where the ventricles are just quivering and not pumping any blood. A defibrillator delivers a powerful, unsynchronized shock. Now, its goal isn't to start the heart, but to stop the electrical chaos completely. It's like a hard reset, giving the heart's natural conductor, that SA node, a chance to take over again. It's the ultimate Control-Alt-Delete. A pacemaker, on the other hand, is for when the heart is too slow. This tiny little implanted device just watches the heart's rhythm, and if it notices the rate has dropped too low, it sends out a little electrical stimulus to keep the beat steady. It's the perfect backup conductor, always ready to step in when the main one falters. But, and this is a really critical safety note, this incredible technology comes with one major rule. Because pacemakers are sensitive electronic devices, people who have them have to be careful around strong electromagnetic fields. We're talking about things like big magnets or MRI machines, which can seriously interfere with the pacemaker's settings. 100,000. Just think about that number. That's roughly how many times your heart beats every single day. The workload is it's absolutely incredible. 100,000 times a day, your personal symphony performs, most of the time, flawlessly. Now you know a little bit more about the music behind the beat and what it takes to protect that vital, life-sustaining rhythm.